to basically assess the damage that has been caused by the recent looting incidences that have been occurring in the province of KwaZulu-Natal as well as Gauteng. At the moment, he is being briefed by the leadership of the SABC provincial commissioner. He's currently briefing the President of the Republic of South Africa about the extent of the damage that is here. This is one of the malls, Simpiwe, that has been, badly affected by the looting as well as the damage to infrastructure. So the president, as you recall, did say earlier on that he will be dispatching members of the South African National Defence Force together with the SAPS members to try and remedy the situation that is unfolding in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. In particular, I see the president is now, receiving the briefing from the provincial commissioner, just to get a sense of the damage that has been caused and also what members of the police are going to do in terms of trying to remedy the situation. There have been a number of concerns, as our viewers would recall, regarding the work that is being done by SAPS in this regard. Some community members accusing members of the police of not doing enough to basically try and prevent some of these incidences from occurring. But of course, the Minister of Police, General Bheki Cele, was very quick to say that police are doing enough, and they have been doing enough in trying to remedy the situation. I see also the Minister of State Security, Ayanda Dlodlo, is one of those accompanying the President of the Republic of South Africa as he is on this oversight, visit in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Ethekwini municipality to be precise, where he's busy assessing the damage that has been done as a result of the recent looting incidences. And of course, we did hear earlier on from the Minister of Police saying that more members of the SANDF were expected to be deployed in the province of KwaZulu-Natal to, among other things, ensure the safety of the infrastructure that is still standing, and also the issue of residents that are complaining about their security as things stand. The damage to infrastructure, according to the business chamber in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, is now estimated to be well over 15 billion rand. In terms of the arrest, police have managed to arrest over 1,400 people up to now with regards to those incidences. But of course, we know from the acting minister in the presidency, Kumbuzo Shaveni, that the 12 people that are sort of seen as instigators of this violence are being investigated. One of those has been, apprehended by the police, and we're expecting more of those people, to be brought to book, to be questioned about the incidences that have since unfolded here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You'd recall also, Simpiwe, that when this incident occurred, the President of the Republic of South Africa, in his initial address, characterized this as, an incident that is largely perpetuated by ethnic mobilization. But he has since received quite, a number of, one would say, complaints and people disagreeing with him, when it comes to that statement. And the president is currently being briefed by the Minister now of Police, who has been in the province of KwaZulu-Natal for a couple of days now since these incidents occurred. He has been on the ground, trying to interact with various community members And one of those communities is the community of Phoenix, where racial tensions seem to be, rearing their ugly heads, so to speak, between the community of the Indian community as well as the Africans who live in that community. The president is now making his way down the Bridge City shopping center, busy assessing the extent of the damage that has been done as a result of the recent incidents of looting. I believe that the president is going to be addressing members of the media. We've been told to be stationed in one place, so we are going to wait for the President of the Republic of South Africa to give an update in terms of what he has been told up to now and what is going to be the way forward in terms of trying to quell these tensions and also address the issue at hand.
Police minister to be with him. Let us see what will happen.
Guys, let's move back a bit, cover that space. Move back. Move back, guys. Move back. Move back a little bit. Give me your mic, guys. Give me your mic. Give me your mic.
I will hand over the mic to the gentleman from the
presidency. We can't have more space for you guys. Move back, Thank you, Almond. Move back. Check mine as well.
We can't see the president.
Social distancing, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, we're trying to get...
Colleagues, can we move back, please? Cameras, move back. Thank you.
All right, we're trying to get visuals of President Cyril Ramaphosa at the Bridge City Mall as he's doing a walkabout around that particular area to assess the extent of the damage caused by the ongoing looting and violence in different parts of the country. Simpiwe Makanya is there and he's coordinating that we get the proper visuals of the president as he'll be addressing some of the stakeholders. He's just had a briefing from the community members and the community leaders with regards to what happened there and the way forward. And I'm just wondering, Simpiwe, whether what would come out of this walkabout? What would come out of this assessment? I mean, are we likely to see perhaps a stimulus package, to sort of cushion the business people who lost their businesses as a result of this shooting there, of this looting there? Because about 15 billion rand has been lost in stock and as well as infrastructure damage as a result of this looting there. So I'm just wondering whether, a plan will come out of this post-looting to sort of cushion some of the business people who lost their business there. All right, so we've now established a proper shot of the president and he's addressing the crowd. Let's listen in.
We're also on the ground to deal with a very difficult situation. And to overlay on that, we then deployed another layer, a key layer, which is our ministers, Minister of Police, Minister of Defense, and Minister of State Security. They came together with other leaders, members of cabinet. So they've spent quite a lot of time, and I've been in daily and hourly contact with the Premier and the ministers, as well as the commanders who have been conducting all the activities here. We obviously, as a government, are extremely concerned about what happened here. And we are doing everything to deal with it. And it's quite clear that all these incidents of unrest and looting were instigated. There are instigators, there were people who planned it, they coordinated it, and our intelligence services and our police have now got a line of sight of what actually was happening here with the instigation and with the coordination and the planning. And we are after those people. We are going after them. We have identified a good number of them. And we will not allow anarchy and mayhem to just unfold in our country. It is most unfortunate that so much damage has been done to the country and people have lost their lives. That is the most concerning issue. And here in KZN alone, 95 people have already lost their lives. There's been complete destruction of the livelihoods of people. People are now going to go forward having lost jobs, and the economic damage that has been done, including just looking at our country from both internal investors as well as external investors as an economic destination, has been severely dented. So we've really been taken backwards on our path for economic recovery. Yes, security forces have tried the very best that they could. I've been talking to our officers here, our provincial commissioner, the minister and the others. Yes, we could have done better, but we were overwhelmed by a situation, and primary in the minds of the Minister of Police and the commanders was to save lives, to make sure that we did not get into a situation which could have resulted in more mayhem. And as Minister of State Security has also said in the past, the situation could have been much worse. And our security forces came to the party and did the very best that could. Now, we regret, obviously, the situation that has resulted in this. This is not what we want to see in our country. And obviously, we are going to have to re-examine everything that we do in defense of our people, in defense of the assets of the country. But right now, I'd like to say that we are rolling out our security forces. 25,000 soldiers are now being rolled out, and in a short space of time they will have flooded the entire province and other provinces such as Gauteng as well. So this is most unfortunate where we are.
CNN. Mr. President, ordinary citizens have taken the law into their own hands and they feel let down by the state. Why did it take so long to secure these regions?
Yes, ordinary citizens have felt that they need to defend their areas, to defend their assets, and we welcome the fact that ordinary citizens are working together with the security forces, are standing up not only to defend their own assets, but they're also defending our democracy, because they can see that this is an assault on the democratic situation that we have in our country. So they are standing up, and we applaud them, that our people themselves see that there is a lot at stake, and the instigators want to spread instability in the country, and we don't know what their full and true intentions are, but the democratic state is what our people are defending, as well as their assets. So yes, we have said that we could have acted quicker, but they are now joining hands with us as the state, working together. Now many of our people are working together, the religious community, the business community, ordinary people in their homes, in the streets of our country. They are now cleaning up the country, cleaning up the towns, and which demonstrates that the intentions of the instigators is failing, has actually failed, because it is our people who are coming now to the defense of all our people, working together with government, but also coming to the defense of our democracy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Thank
there
you.
is a war going on in Phoenix. Are you going to Phoenix after the Africans are being killed?
The Minister of Police was on his way to Phoenix, and when I was coming here, he paused for a while, and our local leaders, the Premier, our MECs, are going to have to deal with that type of situation. I wanted to go myself But time now is of the essence. We're going to have a cabinet meeting later, so I've got to go back to Gauteng. But I'm here now, encouraging and holding the hands of all our people on the ground, and also directing the security forces and getting them to go to those areas that are volatile at the moment. That's precisely what we are doing.
Mr. President, what did you mean by ethnic mobilization?
As we looked and listened to some of what was being said in voicemails, there were suggestions that some of the instigators were using terms that seemed to appear to be ethnic mobilization. I mean, they were, for instance, using terms like Leli Venda, Leli, and so forth, meaning me. And that can't mean anything but some measure of ethnic sentiment. And when I said that, but later we then analyzed the situation. We analyzed it with all our leaders, and we came to the conclusion that no, this is not about ethnic mobilization, much as right at the beginning it seemed to appear like that. And I've been clarifying this. And right now we are dealing with a situation that goes beyond ethnic mobilization, but we're also concerned about the racial aspect of it, because it's beginning to flare up, where one community is pitted against another. Now, that is one of the things that we've got to deal with. Now, but I also have said that the criticism against even me for having suggested ethnic mobilization, I see it in positive light, because it means that as South Africans, we are disavowing any notion of ethnicity. And this, in my book, which is the flip side of what I said, means that we are saying we are united as a nation, and what the forebears of the ANC said when the ANC was formed, that we must kill the demon of ethnicity and tribalism, is still alive today. And that to me was clear confirmation. So I will say it once again, this, as it has manifested itself, is not about ethnic mobilization at all. Much as it seemed to rear its head at the beginning, it is not. It is about, yes, there are many causes to this, and we will talk about that later. But the issue of former President Jacob Zuma, yes, our provincial leadership and a number of people have been suggesting that we should look at a variety of measures of dealing with a difficult situation where the court has made a ruling, and where President Jacob Zuma must be credited and applauded for having complied with what the court did rule. And he has to be applauded for that. We're giving consideration to all the issues and the proposals that are being put forward to us. So until then, let's leave the matter where it is. Thank you very much.
Incidents of looting, and the president basically saying that his initial diagnosis of the situation when he termed it ethnic mobilization was incorrect, admitting here that there are a variety of factors which have led to this, and the work is being done by leaders of government and security forces in terms of trying to bring stability in the province of KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng. Of course, the president admitting that government could have done better in terms of trying to normalize the situation when it initially, began. So now the president is saying that there will be a cabinet later on to, among other things, discuss this issue. And of course, another issue that has been raised is the issue of former President Jacob Zuma, who is currently serving his 15-month jail sentence at the escort facility, prison facility. The president there saying that there are quite a number of measures that they are looking into to try and deal with the issue of the former President Simpiwe.
Now, Simpiwe, are you at all impressed with President Cyril Ramaphosa's defense of his statement on ethnic mobilization? Because remember that he was thrust into the firing line of criticism, and people criticizing him for being responsible for the carnage and the barbarism that you see in KZN. He says that, he sees that in a positive light. He sees that in a positive light because it affirms that South Africans dispel or disavow the notion of ethnicity. And we've seen so many people, from different fronts, in particular the traditional prime minister of the Zulu people, of the Zulu kingdom, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who said, and I'm going to quote him verbatim, he says, "I don't understand what is meant by ethnic mobilization. It's not about Zulu people against other people, even in the case where the mobilized support for our former President Zuma, Mr. Ace Magashule, is not a Zulu, and the leaders of Mpumalanga who came down here were not necessarily Zulu." I mean, he's still going to do a whole lot of work in trying to dispel that notion of his responsibility of the carnage as a result of that statement. Simpiwe?
Certainly, Simpiwe, the president did receive quite strong criticism from members of the public with regards to that initial statement he made. And here he was admitting that it was wrong on his part to characterize the situation as such, and saying that obviously he's learning from it. But the initial characterization of this situation, Simpiwe, the president saying that initially it appeared as though that
all right, we seem to have lost Simpiwe Makhanya there, and he was just giving us an update with regards to the president's visit there, and I do understand that Simpiwe Makhanya is now back with us. Simpiwe, are you back with us?
I can hear you very well, Simpiwe. I'm just saying that we are following the convoy of the president as he has just wrapped up his visit here at KwaMashu, trying to, get a sense of what the real situation is on the ground in terms of the damage that has been caused here. And of course, in his address, Simpiwe, after, engaging with the leadership of the police minister, Begicele, together with the provincial leadership, the president saying that he understands that the government could have acted more swiftly and more better in terms of trying to manage this crisis, and but now reassuring South Africans that law enforcement authorities are on top of things, and there will become instability with the deployment now of both members of the South African National Defence Force, about 25,000 of them, and as well as members of the SABC. These visuals, Simpiwe, are currently coming to you live from KwaMashu. The convoy following, the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. He's going now to meet with the provincial leaders and as well as the ministers responsible for the security cluster. That's Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngagula, Minister Ayanda Dlodlo and Minister Peggy Cele to sit down and try and map a way forward in terms of the steps that are now going to be taken to bring about calm and stability. In his address to the media, Simpiwe, earlier on, the president did speak at length about the economic impact of this situation, saying that it's going to set us back as a country in many ways, because many people are going to be, affected in terms of losing their jobs. But he's adamant that the situation is now under control, and there will be calm and there will be stability in both the province of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, Simpiwe.
Yeah, and he's also been thrust in the spotlight of criticism with regards to his responsibility and allegedly having been influencing the judicial outcomes of court cases around former President Jacob Zuma. When he was asked that question, I suppose he was quite coy in involving himself in that, saying that the provincial leadership is dealing with that particular matter. Simpiwe, please indicate if you are able to hear me. Okay, we seem to have lost the line to Simpiwe there. These are the live visuals of the convoy of the former, President Cyril Ramaphosa. He just briefed the media and has just done a walkabout and assessed the extent of the damage at the Bridge City Mall in KwaMashu, which is one of the malls that have been badly affected by the carnage and the looting that has been going on. Well, he was defending his statement on ethnic mobilization, saying that he sees it in a positive light because it actually affirms that South Africans, sort of disavow the notion of ethnicity, and he reiterated that it's not about ethnic mobilization. It threw him in the firing line, of course, of criticism that the statement led to the anarchy we see in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. He also read the riot act to the anarchists and the perpetrators of the violence and looting in KZN. He says they are now circling around the instigators of the violence, and one of them has been arrested, as has been affirmed by the Deputy Minister of State Security, Zizi Godwa. Well, he also affirmed that they are rolling out the deployment of the Defence Force officials, and in a short while, they will be all over the place. Well, President Ramaphosa is there to assess the impact of the recent public violence and the deployment of security forces. I mean, the president will interact with the provincial government and security forces. We've heard earlier on saying that he will sit down with the defense minister and as well as the state security minister to assess the extent of the damage that has been perpetrated by the anarchists of this violence in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng. Simpiwe Makanya there is on the road following the president to his next engagement. Now, Simpiwe, please indicate if you can hear me now.
I can hear you very well, Simpiwe.
Okay, yeah, I was just asking you about the issue of former President Jacob Zuma, and I believe he was quite coy in involving himself in that particular matter when answering questions about former President Jacob Zuma, saying that provincial leadership of the ANC, is there to deal with this matter. What are your thoughts on that?
Indeed, Simpiwe, you'd recall that the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal was reported having said that he has asked the President of the Republic of South Africa to intervene and grant the former President, a presidential pardon to, try and perhaps deal with the situation that is unfolding here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And the President, in his answer, was very vague, Simpiwe. He basically said he, together with the provincial leadership of the ANC, are looking into the matter and giving assurance that a decision will be made and communicated when the time is right. You recall that when this unrest began, Simpiwe, initially the calls were that the former president should be released from jail using the hashtag Free Zuma. But obviously things started to change, you know. The nature of the protest then changed to becoming, you know, incidents of looting and incidents of violence, which has damaged quite a lot of infrastructure in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And as I speak to you, the numbers that we have are that over 129,000 jobs, you know, have been affected, and 40,000 businesses have been affected as a result of these incidences. And of course, the province of KwaZulu-Natal being the mostly affected one in terms of the damage and you know, loss of income, so to speak, with over, you know, 20 billion having been lost so far as a result of these incidences. It's going to be important, Simpiwe, to note what the president decides in terms of the predicament that he finds himself in, with the former president having been arrested, because it's not an issue of the states alone, but it's got political ramifications as well, with both of them coming from the same political party. And the president now, Simpiwe, as I speak to you, is on his way to do, you know, further assessment of the situation here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And as we are driving, Simpiwe, we can still see the amount done, and
you touched on
the numbers are really not looking good.
Yeah, on Simpiwe, you touched on the cost of the damage, Simpiwe, and you just mentioned the figure of 20 billion rand, and which is a figure which has been bandied about, with regards of the cost of the damage. In as much as it's still the early stages to compute and collate the economic or the financial cost of the damage at this point, because more still needs to be calculated. But the economic cost, or the bigger cost of this, I'm sure it'll be the loss of investor confidence in South Africa, thousands of jobs lost, because up to now it is estimated that 50,000 jobs could be at risk under the baseline scenario. And many retail shops were closed, interprovincial transport ground to a halt, diverse places of work in Simpiwe were unable to open as normal, and citizens afraid of their safety stayed at home. This would have far-reaching implications, not only in the medium term, but in the long term.
Indeed, Simpiwe, indeed, those numbers are not looking good. I must be, honest with you, because if you go around the usual shopping centers here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, most of them are not functioning. Those that have been spared from this violence are still closed, because the businesses there fear that they could be such incidents, occurring again. But the president saying that law enforcement authorities have now been unleashed in the form of members of the South African National Defence Force, as well as the, members of the South African Police Services. Perhaps what is also, important to note is the beefing up of President Cyril Ramaphosa's security. When we arrived at the KwaMashu, shopping center where we were, we saw quite a number of police. When the president comes down to KwaZulu-Natal, we always see quite a sizable number of police, personnel guarding him. But this time around, I can certainly tell you that there was more in terms of security, perhaps giving an indication that the situation is still very volatile in this province, and wanting to ensure that the safety of the president and the safety of those that have been on this journey with the president, ministers of the security cluster, is prioritized, Simpiwe.
Okay, Simpiwe, I'm going to let you go for now as you, follow the president in his next engagement, and we'll certainly touch base with you a little later on. That was our reporter Simpiwe Makanya on the road. They are from